Let's get the conversation started. 48,000 naira on the table from the federal government, 54,000 naira from the private sector, and the Labour says no, not good enough for Nigerian workers, especially given the prevailing economic challenges in the country. Now, my question to you is, what are your thoughts, first and foremost, about the offer? Is this good enough? Should Labour take it? If not, what is a fair deal to ask for? Remember, we got from 600,000. I think we had this conversation some couple of weeks ago when so many numbers were making the rounds. Some of you were saying 100,000, some of you were saying 150, some of you were saying 80,000. But the federal government has come out with an offer of 48,000 naira, and the private sector is going with 54,000. And the organized labor saying, listen, this offer is just ridiculous. Nigerian workers deserve more. Nigerian workers deserve better. Look at what we're dealing with. Inflation is at 33%. Transportation is really high. Energy cost is going up. School fees, Medicare, transportation, all of these things. For the next 5 years, 48,000 naira, no way. That is basically the body language of the organized labor with regards to this offer. The first offer that has been put on the table. They walked out of the negotiations yesterday to say, listen, there's no way that this is a fair compensation for Nigerian workers. So let's have your take on this one. Give us a call. The number will be displayed on your TV screen so you can have your say on this one, because we really love to hear what you make of the negotiations for the new national minimum wage. I mean, nobody needs to tell you anything about how bad things are with the economy, how the cost of living is continuing to soar, where we're coming from, where we are right now, and where we're apparently heading towards. The prospects are really looking rather bleak. And this 48,000, by the way, had Labour accepted, would have been the new national minimum wage for the next 5 years until another review is conducted constitutionally. That is, of course, the provision. So what do you make of this? Give us a call. We'd love to hear your perspective on this one, whether you're a civil servant, whether you're an artisan, whether you're working in the private sector, whether you're a business owner, an employer, an employee. Where do you stand on how far we've come with the negotiations in search of a new national minimum wage? Right now, what is on the table is 48,000 naira as proposed by the federal government, and 54,000 naira was proposed from the private sector. Remember, it's a tripartite committee that has been set up, and they make up, the government side, you have the private sector, and then you have organized labor in between there, sandwiched by both the private sector as well as the government's side of the negotiation. So that is what is on the table. What do you make of it? Where do you stand on this proposed new national minimum wage? Is 48,000 naira enough to make a difference? Is 48,000 naira enough to actually help Nigerian workers survive the storm, ride the storm, as the case may be, with regards to the economy right now? We're talking about rental prices going up. We're talking about all of these things vis-a-vis what the government is offering. Let's speak to our first caller now. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ibrahim Mohammed. I'm calling you from Niger State.
Ibrahim Mohammed from Niger State.
My take on this 8,000 naira minimum wage is utterly ridiculous, because the kind of hardship ordinary Nigerians are facing in this country is really, really beyond words. You can imagine somebody who has a family of, let's say, to the bare minimum of 3. How will he take care of his family, pay school fees, transport? Even here in Niger State, transport is something else, really. So where will 48,000 take us to? Are they saying that they are adding just 10,000 to the existing 38,000 minimum wage? This is ridiculous. What kind of life are we living in this country? For God's sake. See what is it called? The politicians. Imagine their salaries The other day, I was listening to BBC. The salary of a senator in Nigeria is even more than the salary of a president in the United States. Imagine, where are we going in this country? The politicians, we vote for them, thinking that we will get succor. Their first primary assignment is to protect us. Are we having protection in the United States when bandits are everywhere? You can't even move freely. For God's sake. Well, let me not take up too much time, but 48,000 is really, really out of it. They should be ashamed of themselves. Even Tinubu himself, saying that he's going to pay 48,000. It's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah. Ibrahim, I can understand where you're coming from. Thank you so much for calling in, and we do appreciate your thoughts on this one. I suppose this is going to be very unpopular with most Nigerians because, listen, 48,000 naira today is not the same 48,000 naira, of, say, for instance, 4 years ago, or even 10 months ago, right, or 12 months ago before subsidy was removed. And yeah, this is where we are today. Inflation has eroded the value of the money. What 48,000 naira could get you in the market, say for instance 12 months ago, it's not going to do it today, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, my goodness, or even 5 years ago. So that in itself factors in. The numerical figure is going up, but in terms of value, it's not the same. And I think that's what Ibrahim is pointing out there, saying that it is not fair, especially when you juxtapose what Nigerian workers who are at the bottom of the pyramid are being given, and then compared to the few people up there. Remember when, the famous revolutionary Thomas Sankara said, the choice is between champagne for the few or water for the many. And apparently, what, the many are being given is clearly not enough to make a difference in their life. And I think this is part of the conversation with regards to this new national minimum wage. And also, the conversation is around sustainability, because even at 30,000 naira, for instance, when you trickle down to the states, local governments, there's some who have defaulted for such a very long time with regards to non-implementation. So, even given the offer itself has proven to be a challenge. Let's speak to our next caller then and hear his or our own opinion. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Am I speaking to Daybreak first? Daybreak.
Yes, exactly. You're on Daybreak. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
I'm Bashir, calling from Lagos.
Bashir from Lagos.
Yes.
How is Lagos this morning, Bashir?
Well, it's stormy. It's a little bit. It's raining. It's drizzling actually. It rained earlier, but right now it's drizzling.
Good to hear from you, Bashir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The issue, it's disgraceful.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Where do you stand on this 48,000 offer made by the federal government?
Yes, I said it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
Why do you say that?
It's disgraceful, honestly. Because you are a presenter. Can you survive with that 48,000?
No, not really. Not really.
Exactly. I mean, even a councillor, all our councillors are any more than 48,000. I'm just talking about councillor. At the local government level, they are any more than 48,000. And now you want to subject the people, the hardships people are facing, with just 48,000 increment in wages. I mean, it's barbaric.
Right.
Why are the politicians favored over every other person in the what you call? And they are using public funds. It's public funds they are going to be used. They are going to use to pay politicians. Public funds, taxpayers' money. Now, okay, look at the private sector. The private sector would even be worse, because they will not even pay up to that 48,000, and the labor will not work on it. Labor will turn a blind eye on what the private sector is doing and focus on the public sector, the government, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, actually, Bashir, as far as the offers go, right, the private sector in the negotiation have offered more than the government. They're offering 54,000 naira as a minimum wage offer.
Which private sector will pay it? You have to ask, which are is it the multinationals? or the national, I mean the multinationals and the national companies? What about the ordinary, the companies that are below the national companies and the multinationals? Would they pay that amount? Okay, let us even ask about the banks. The banks that are using contract staff for their security and for their cleaners, would they pay that amount? The banks before, growing up, I'm old enough to know that before a security guard was a permanent staff in a bank, but right now they are using contract staff. They are giving companies, like some companies, we know their names. They have their companies in the north, they have their companies in the south. Like in the south here, they have one company called Halogen. They are there. They pay up to that amount. Let us be sincere with ourselves.
Yeah.
The conspiracy between the public sector, the private sector, and the politicians. Even the labor is even part of that complicity, because they shut their eyes that, okay, the labor they are fighting for, they may really fighting the government, but at the state level, they don't implement anything. Labor does not fight at the state level for their workers, the state workers. What do you call it? There was a rumor going around that the governor of Borno State was paying 7,800. I don't know how true it is to teachers, but it was because he's the best performing governor. They said that it's all fallacy, it's untrue, but we don't know. Yeah. You are the journalists. You are the ones that are supposed to do the work of investigating. But it's a disgrace. It's barbaric. For 3,000 barbaric. Honestly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bashir. I appreciate you for calling in, and do have a good day. Obviously, you can understand where the frustration is coming from. And to his point, exactly, the casualization of the workforce itself is an aberration. And I think it has gone on for such a long time that it really needs to be addressed. And we're seeing that mostly in the private sector, and even in government circles also, even though this practice was supposed to have been phased out. You know, we've had the daily pays and all of that is supposed to have been phased out by now. So there are so many violations that appear to shortchange so many Nigerian workers out there, both in the public and in the private sector. And I think that's Bashir's point, to say that these gaps need to be fixed. And also, the amount itself is just unacceptable, especially given, and to his point exactly, not to say that a councillor is not important in the grand scheme of things, but my goodness, you look at the amount of work they put in and what your average civil servant or worker puts in, and you realize that, yeah, workers are like second-class citizens in this country. Let's speak to our next caller then. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Daybreak Interactive. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Yusuf Adamu Ibrahim, calling from Zaria.
Yusuf Adamu Ibrahim from Zaria. Good morning, Yusuf. Please go ahead.
Yeah. From what we are discussing this morning, I've seen where government is going.
Yeah.
I think, there is a wage award they implemented some months back.
Yeah.
So what they are doing here is for them to add for that the wage award and the previous minimum wage they have, so that it will come up to 70,000 naira around that area, maybe. But the most annoying part of all this thing is labor. There is no form of sincerity in what they are doing. It's only in Nigeria that we keep going up and down when it comes to the masses. This is something that you can sit down in a round table, have a meaningful and constructive discussion among the stakeholders, and come up with a meaningful minimum wage. But in Nigeria, we keep going up and down. Look at what is happening now in National Assembly when they added their salary. Did they sit down and start going up and down and thinking of how much they are going to put? You see, you see, the Nigerians, we are just laughing. Everywhere we go, there's no form of sincerity in our activities. Look at the government said they are going to give workers wage award. They only pay for 4 months, and 2 months are left behind. Now they came up with what is it called? This recent one from January you see, something is just annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah. Yusuf,
I'm very, very sad with what is happening with Labour and government, because Labour has no form of sincerity in their doings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. I appreciate the call, and do have a good day. I'm sure Labour would say that they disagree, that they're fighting for Nigerian workers. And also, when you talk about sitting on the round table, I think that's what the tripartite committee is supposed to achieve since its formation. And that is the basic task of it. You have the private sector, you have the government representatives, you have Labour to sit down and negotiate a give and take, collective bargaining. That is what is supposed to bring about a new national minimum wage. But apparently, the give and take is what got us to 48,000. We went from a proposal of 615,000 to a counter offer of 48,000 naira from the government and 54,000 naira from the private sector. But that was Yusuf's contribution from Zaria. Feel free to have your say. Give us a call in. Rules of engagement. Don't forget to turn down the volume of your TV set while calling in. Let's speak to our next caller from Bayelsa. Hello, good morning. Your name, please.
Morning. My name is Abdullahi Ahmad, calling from Bayelsa concerning the new minimum wage.
Please go ahead.
The new minimum wage of 48,000 naira is not enough for anything for a family of 3. How can the person survive with 48,000 naira? Even our politicians that we elected to represent us, their children that is going to school, even in their hostels, they cannot give them 48,000 naira for a month for survival. They give them more than 48,000 naira for survival. How can we survive with 48,000 naira compared to the things we buy in the market? Those things that we normally buy 2,500, we buy them now 4,500 to 5,000 naira. How can we survive? So my opinion, the least worker should be paid 75,000 naira. Thank you.
75?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for calling in, and do have a great day. 75,000, at least his counter offer to counter proposal to the government should be jack it up a little further to 75,000 naira. But currently what is on the table is 48,000 naira, and I'm trying to, make sense of it. I mean, that is the barest minimum. I mean, a lot of people with this could earn a lot more going forward. But let's speak to our next caller, who interestingly is calling from the UK. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program. Your name, please. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, Mr. Kule, are you still there? Okay, I suppose I recommend you give us another try, because we would really love to hear your take on this one. Mr. Kule is calling in from the UK, but apparently I think we have some difficulty getting through to him. So do try again. Let's have your say on this one. 48,000 naira is the offer from the federal government, 54 from the private sector. Let's speak to our next caller. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Daybreak Interactive.
Morning.
Morning. Who's on the line and where are you calling from?
Mariam Sharif, I'm calling from Kaduna State.
Mariam Sharif from Kaduna. Good morning, Mariam. It's good to have you on the program. Please go ahead.
Good to have you, sir.
Go ahead, please.
What I want to say is this 48,000 naira is too small.
Why do you say that, Mariam?
This 48 naira. Even the committee that went out for this to bring up this and to work on this minimum wage. Look at the huge amount of money they requested just to take up this committee.
Right.
Now, the people that are working 24 hours for the...
Oh my goodness, that's rather sad, because I was really looking forward to hearing more of Mariam's thought there. Mariam, do try calling back again, but like many others, she doesn't think it's acceptable to give Nigerian workers 48,000 naira as the improved or new national minimum wage. It looks like the more money we add, the less value it continues to have, because from where we're coming from, 18,000 naira a couple of, say, 12 years ago, is worth more than actually the 48,000 naira that's been offered right now. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to the program. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Yeah, my name is Bilamini, calling from Gombe State.
Okay, good to have you join us this morning. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the 48,000 that the federal government are proposing is not with the reality of the economic we are today. And my concern here is not even the 48,000 as a minimum wage.
Yeah.
But does that mean the 48,000 would add it to each grade or level grade of a federal government worker? For instance, if somebody is earning 200,000, does that mean he's going to be added 48,000? Or they are going to be on scale? Because probably at the end of it, you become to understand that the minimum wage of Nigeria is 48, but based on grade levels, some will be added 5,000, some will be added 10,000, and some will be added maybe 20,000. So it's not only the issue of a minimum wage, but the issue of grade level too.
Yeah.
How much is it going to add it to the grade levels? Is a point of concern there. Because if all Nigerians are, in fact, for instance, if all Nigerians accept the 48,000, then how much is it going to be added to the grade levels that we have in Nigeria? For instance, colonies, counties, and some others.
Yeah.
So those are the things to ponder. But looking at the reality of it, sincerely, 48,000 cannot work with the economic reality that we are and we are facing today in Nigeria.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Go ahead.
If I can, if I have to put my own opinion here, the reality that something that Labour and federal government is supposed to see that and look at the reality. So I'm not condemning Labour, I'm in full support, and I'm not condemning the Federal Republic of Nigeria because I'm still a good citizen of Nigeria. But the reality is, let's put on, okay, Labour, this is not a reality. We cannot be able to face that 600 plus that you're talking about. Okay, federal government, you too should look at it, but 8,000 is not a reality. Let's move on and reach an agreement. For instance, let's say, okay, 100 to 150 as a minimum wage of Nigeria. Looking at the economy that we have today, that's my input on that.
Yeah, thank you so much for making that contribution. Really appreciate you for calling in on the program. And you did ask a very important question. So we're coming from 30,000 naira minimum wage, so to 48,000. That's a 60% increase. And there's what you call the consequential adjustment system. So you talk about percentages. This is the bare minimum you can pay a worker, but also the others who are above it will now have to be reflected. Where you talk about the percentages now, they will also be added some amount. Some of it would definitely reflect 60% increase, because if the 60% increase you're getting from 30,000 to 48,000, assuming that is the figure at the end of the day, there will be a consequential adjustment to all the various salary structures that we have within the civil service in Nigeria, for instance. So I think that is the basic understanding of how it works. Let's speak to our next caller. Do we have someone on the line? Hello, good morning. Okay, as we await our next caller, I think we have a couple of minutes to spare before we wrap things up. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Daybreak Interactive.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Kamal, I'm calling from Kano.
Come again?
My name is Kamal, calling from Kano.
Kamal from Kano. Good morning, Kamal. Please go ahead.
Good morning. This is too small. 48,000 naira is too small. The purchasing power of 36,000 naira, then we need to compare it with this 48,000 naira and see how much is the purchasing power of the 48,000 naira. What 48,000 naira will buy and what that 36 naira will buy. I think that is what our total number should not 48,000. 48 naira is too small. It cannot do anything. It cannot buy a bag of rice, even if it is local rice, not of foreign rice.
Right. So, Kamal, if I put you on the spot and say, what in your view will be a fair compensation to workers, what amount comes to your mind?
Well, from 150,000 naira upwards.
Right. 150 upwards.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kamal. Do have a good day. Appreciate you for taking the time and for calling in on the program. It's fair to say that the consensus, the general consensus, is that it is not enough. There's no one caller who seems to think that 48,000 naira is anywhere near what Nigerian workers deserve. The 60% increase is not going to do it. And I think that goes to lay credence to the comments of the organized labor who have simply outrightly rejected this offer of 48,000 naira, saying that it is ridiculous, it doesn't meet the wants and needs of Nigerian workers, especially considering where we're coming from with regards to the economic challenges, what we're dealing with right now, and what we're likely going to deal with in the months and years to come. Is another reminder that once it is agreed upon, a review is not going to happen until after 5 years. Constitutionally, that is the provision, and that is why you can understand that the labor is vehement about this, because you factor in inflation and all the other metrics, it will definitely chip in to whatever value is being added to the existing 30,000 naira minimum wage, which has already been wiped out by the 33.69% general inflation that we already have right now, with food crisis worsening, with transportation, with energy crisis, with all the other issues that one has to deal with, whether as an individual or as a household. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Divine. I'm calling from Agbara directly.
Divine, you're calling from where?
Agbara.
Agbara, where is Agbara, Divine? Where?
Lagos State.
Lagos State.
I'm calling from Lagos State.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Divine, for calling in. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please, I'm calling based on the minimum wage.
Yeah, go ahead.
In this minimum wage, there are some analysis that people are supposed to make.
Yeah.
Transportation for any workers, at least 200 naira, going and coming to 400 naira. So multiplied by, let me say, by 20 days, which is 8,000. So then, in terms of carry, maybe the person who wants to eat or there about 1,000 naira for a day by 26 days is 26,000 naira plus that 8,000 is roughly 32,000 or thereabouts. So now the person has to figure if it's someone who has a family. That 12 kg gas cylinder is 14,000. So you want to buy a gari in the market, you buy a pint of gari 3,500. The rick of rice 1,000 or thereabouts. So multiply all these things, you will see that the 48,000 does not go anywhere to this economy.
Right.
So once we are putting the law, let us be considering ourselves.
Yeah, and I think the NLC made a point about it, saying that the government did not give them any data as to how they arrived at 48,000. But Divine, if you can propose a figure, what comes to your mind as a fair minimum wage?
As the minimum wage, at least we are all a human being. No family of a thread that will not spend no less than 50,000 naira or 70,000 naira monthly. With no matter the economically made himself. So I'm not talking about school fees or talking about any other feeding allowances of the children.
Yeah.
I say, once your family want to go to school, you have to prepare for them to for their feeding. They will eat before leaving. And once they come back also, they will also eat.
Yeah.
So at least 150,000 is okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
House rent is not included.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So some of those people does not have a house of their own, and government does not provide a house for them.
Yeah. Divine.
So those things is basically, let us be considering ourselves too.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Divine, for your well thought out opinion. I really appreciate you for calling in. Have a good day. The math is just not adding up, is it? When you consider everything, how can someone actually make ends meet? It's a miracle. Some people are even able to stay afloat. Beyond just the feeding, the transportation, school fees, house rent. You're talking about people unable to even save for a rainy day. So it means people just have to keep going on with this rat race month after month, paycheck to paycheck. And unfortunately, there is no end in sight, apparently, from all of these ongoing negotiations. But yes, we're going to have to anchor it here for now. Thank you most kindly to all our callers who have made some fantastic, impassionate contributions regarding the conversation around the debate for a new national minimum wage in the country. That's it for Daybreak Interactive. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a lot more about labor-related matters, plus what is happening with regards to Nigeria's public institutions and how there is something quite structural that the government has failed to put in place for over 11 months.